Fourth and final part of this Excel lab, we're going to do a probability experiment. Here's the question. 5 cards are dealt from a well-shuffled deck, without replacement, of course. So what's the probability of being dealt at least one pair? You might remember this question came up earlier when we were playing with combinations, and I was fussing over it because I was trying to figure out, do I worry about flushes? Do I worry about straights? And I decided that just to keep this manageable, we're not going to worry about flushes or straights. We're just going to worry about whether you got at least 2 of something. Maybe you got 2 jacks, or maybe you got 2 jacks and 2 queens. Maybe you got 2 twos of somethings, or 3 of a kind, or 4 of a kind. That's the situation we're going to look at. So of course we need to start with the deck of cards, and you'll notice I took a little time and typed this in ahead of time. So here's our deck. It's got an ace of hearts, 2 of hearts, 3 of hearts, all the way up to a jack of hearts, queen of hearts, king of hearts, and then ace of diamonds, 2 of diamonds, all the way up. So each card is labeled both the number and the suit. So queen of spades, king, we got it all there. There's 52 of these things. And you'll notice I've already dealt one. I dealt the 7 of hearts. How did I do that? Well, I dealt it at random. Now I'll show you that I dealt it at random. Turns out with Excel, if you make any change to the spreadsheet, like if I put a 1 here, as soon as I hit enter, all random things get updated. They get changed. So watch this. Boom. Now it's an 8 of clubs. Do you see that? Make that a 2. Boom. Now it's a 9 of spades. Woo. Erase that. Now it's a 2 of clubs. How did I achieve that? So first, what is this doing? This cell is randomly selecting one item from this list. One item from this list, which means 1 card. Now the command is a little scary, and this is going to be a little tedious, but you got to type it in. Here's how you deal one of those cards. Ready? Look at this command. Whoa. It's actually simple, if not short. So it says, okay, equals means, telling Excel, hey, do something. Do what? Choose something. Choose what? Well, the first thing you do is you choose it generates a random number between 1 and 52. So like what happened there? Yeah. So like number 1 corresponds to this card, number 2 corresponds to this card, number 14 corresponds to the ace of diamonds, and so on. And how do I know that? Because once it has the random number, that's the item in this list that it takes. So if it gets a 3, it's going to take the 3rd item. It's going to take what's in B7, which is the 3 of hearts, and so on. So what you have to do is you have to actually type in equals choose open, rand between open, 1 comma 52 close comma, and then you got to make your big list. So I start at B5, which is right here. It's the top of my deck, is in cell B5, and then B6, B7, B8, B9. And you have to be careful that you don't miss anything, that you don't type anything twice. You have to be very careful. If this list isn't typed perfectly, you're going to get weird results over here from time to time. It's got to go all the way up to B56. Let me double check. Yes, B56. All the way up to B56, and I noticed that, originally I missed the B56, and I went up to B55, and so I get the occasional, like, hey. Anyway, make sure that list is perfect. So it's worth a moment to double check and make sure you got it. But once you got it, it'll deal a card for you. Now these dollar signs, what's going on with the dollar signs? So this cell is B5 and this cell is B6, but we use the dollar signs because we're about to copy this thing around in various places, right? We're going to make duplicates of this cell. And the thing with Excel is if you just copy something, like watch this. Well, I won't do it. But if I were to just copy this over and I didn't have the dollar signs, what it would do is, right now it's choosing from this row. If I were to copy this to here, it would choose from this row. And if I were to copy it 2 cells over, it would copy from this cell, and so on. That's called relative cell referencing. We don't want that. We want absolute cell referencing. So it says cell B5, I mean it, that cell B5, always and forever. I don't care where you get copied, you're going to take it from cell B5 or B6 or B7. So that's why you need all those dollar signs in there. So anyway, we just dealt a card to ourselves. Cool. Let's deal another one. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to deal 5 cards. So see that little green rectangle on the bottom right? When I get across here, hold, deal 4 more cards. King of clubs, 2 of diamonds, 3 diamonds, queen of clubs, 2 of spades. Cool. Let's do that a couple more times, just a couple more times. Good, it happened. I wanted to show you that this can happen. So here's the problem. Notice I got a 3 of clubs and then I got a 3 of clubs. What? So because it's choosing from this list, it doesn't mean that it's not going to try to choose the same thing twice. So apparently whatever number is associated with the 3 of clubs, it generated that random number twice and you got it twice. That's not a valid deal. Not a good deal. That's a raw deal, man. So what we're going to have to do first is going to have to make sure that the deal is valid. And so I'm going to maybe here give myself a space or something. I'll say valid deal, question mark, and then we can fill it in here and say yes or no. Now I don't want to do that manually. I want to check. I want to have the thing somehow check. And I looked this up on the internet and I can't say as I fully understand it. So just trust me on this one, it works, okay? So in order to make sure that there are no duplicates, that's the issue. Like over, I guess I changed it already. But when you had like 2 3s of clubs or whatever, if there's any duplicates, you want to say that's not a valid deal. So how do you check for duplicates? You go like this. We're going to type, we're going to type equals. I'm going to type up here, it's easier. This is the interesting thing. So it's the sum of, and then you put 1 over count if, interesting, right? And then, pardon me, I'm going to minimize this so I can see my cells. You have to select that range of cells once, and you have to select that range of cells twice. Ain't that something? Boom. Oops. What did that do? I got to close the parentheses twice. I opened it twice, I have to close it twice. Boom. So that says there's 5 kinds of card in here. It looks like I need if that's a 10 of clubs, I'm going to need this cell to be a little bit wider, huh? Just to see it. Okay, so there's 5 kinds of cards here. Let me drag this over to here. Notice there's only 4 kinds of cards here because there's a duplicate 7 of clubs. So what that does is it counts how many unique cards have we got. How many unique cards have we got? And if it's 5 unique cards, it's valid. If it's less than 5, it's not valid. So what I'd really like to do is just have a yes or no in here. So I'm going to monkey with this statement a little bit. So this part of the statement just tells us how many unique cards we have. Now what we would like is if that's equal to 5, we'll be happy. So I'm going to go if, put that in front. And if this thing equals 5, okay, that's our if criteria. We would like to know whether this is true. Does that equal 5? If it does equal 5, put a Y in the cell. If it does not equal 5, put an N in the cell. Make sure you use quotes. Make sure that you did an if and you opened up a parentheses in front. And then make sure you also close the parentheses at the end. So let me just make sure that works. I got a Y. See that? I got a Y. Let's go all the way across to here. Any N's? No N's? Better change the spreadsheet. What? Come on, give me an N. We got an N. We got an N. This is not a valid deal because, why? We got 4 spades. We got 4 spades again. So good. Now we have a way to check whether the deal is actually valid. Because if it's not a valid deal, we don't want to include it in our probability calculation. That would be silly is what that would be. So good. We checked. We've dealt ourselves 5 cards. We've checked whether it's a valid deal. Okay. If it is a valid deal, what we'd like to do is count how many aces, how many 2s, how many 3s. In other words, have we got a pair here? So I'm going to I could have this gigantically huge if statement, but I don't want to do that. So I'm going to break it up into parts. I'm going to say, let's see now here. Should I say number of aces? Number of aces. Sure, number of aces. And number of 2s and number of 3s and number of 4s. I'm going to spell it right and everything. I think I am. Okay. Erase the I. Okay. We're going to count the number of fives and the number of sixes and the number of sevens and the number of eights and the number of nines and the number of tens, jacks, queens, kings. Cool. And I think I'll format this so that it's always aligned to the right. So where's that? Home, alignment to the right. What? I said right. Oh, that's better. So how do we count the number of aces? For aces, we're going to have to look at these 5 cells, and if we say an AH or an AD or an AC or an AS, we'll have to count it. So what we do is we can type this in. We can say equals count if. Count the thing if. It wants a range and then a criteria. Okay, so the range is here. Count in there. Count in that range. Count if what? If, and you have to use quotes, it equals the ace of hearts, close quotes, close parentheses. So that'll count if there's any aces of hearts. And count if, same range, you have anything, double quote equal, that is equal to the ace of diamonds, like that. Close parentheses. Plus, and 2 more of these. Count if, same range, whoops, E5 to E9. If, double quotes, double quotes, double quotes. If it equals the ace of, let's see, clubs would be next, I guess. Close parentheses, plus count if, and I guess it doesn't matter, not case sensitive. Same range, maybe I'll just type it, E5 to E9, and if it equals an ace, equals, double quotes, come on you, equals AS. Right, I got it all. Double check. Ace of hearts, ace of diamonds, ace of clubs, ace of spades. Count them. Enter. It says I got one. Let's see. Yeah, I got an ace of clubs right there. Boom. It works. Now what I'd like to do is I'd like to drag this down to count my 2s, 3s, 4s, and so on. But before I drag, I want to make sure that it always checks this range. The E column, I'm not worried about that, but from 5 to 9, from rows 5 to 9. I don't. So if I drag down, it's also going to check rows that are coming lower too, right? So I have to put dollar signs on the numbers. So $5, boink, boink, boink. $9, same over here. $5, boink, boink, boink. $9, same over here. $5, boink, boink, boink. $9, same over here. $5, boink, boink, boink. $9, not 99. What happened there? How did I get a 99? Anyway, return. Should be good. Let's double check. Get the dollar signs in all the right places, like right before each number in the cell addresses. Looks good. Now I'm ready to drag this down. So, drag. So of course I got ones everywhere because I have one ace and it's counting aces. I want it to count 2s, so what do I got to do? I got to click on this cell and I got to change all of these things to be not the ace of hearts, the 2 of hearts. Not the ace of diamonds, the 2 of diamonds. Not the ace of clubs, and so on. Make these all these aces into 2s. Hit return. It says I don't have any aces or 2s. Okay. Now I'm on the 3s. So make that a 3 of hearts. Make that a 3 of diamonds. Make that a 3 of clubs. Make that a 3 of spades. Return. Really? Nothing yet. Okay, 4s. Make that a 4 of hearts. Make that a 4 of diamonds. Make that a 4 of clubs. Make that a 4 of spades. Return. You got anything yet? Oh, we got a 3 and a 4, it says. Yes, we have a 3. Yes, we have a 4. I love it when it works. 5s now. Make all these A's into 5s. It's probably a replace, find and replace. You know, it'd be dangerous to replace a single letter though. Okay, so boom. No 5s. What about 6s? We should look for 6s. Make that a 6. Make that a 6. Make that a 6. Make that a 6. Return. We got a 4 and a 6, it says. A 4 and a 6. Yep, I love it. It's working. It's awesome. Awesome is good. When things are awesome, it's excellent. Okay, those are all 7s now. Try to be careful as you go, because if you're in a hurry, you're going to end up wasting a lot of time trying to figure out where you messed up. So make sure you go nice, slow, steady, win the race and all that stuff. Okay, 9 of hearts, 9 of diamonds, 9 of clubs, 9 of spades. Well, now we've got a 2 and a 6, right? There's a 6, there's a 2. Yep. 10s, these all have to become 10s. You're a 10. You're a 10. You're a 10. You're a 10. These have to all be jacks. You're not an A, you're a J. All the way across. And by the way, I'm working on the answer key as we speak. I mean, you're going to get this very same problem. So even if it seems tedious, I think it's worth it to follow along here. Make sure everything's up to snuff. If it ain't up to snuff, I'll be able to find out where what would you say, it got unsnuffed? Unsnuffed? Desnuffed? Anti-snuffed? K, H, K, D, K, C, K, S looks good. Boom. So let's just see. I went all the way down the list. According to this thing, we've got 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and an 8. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and an 8. Isn't that beautiful? Now let's examine these formulas again. They got the dollar signs on the numbers. I don't want the dollar signs on the letters because I want to be able to drag all of this across. So let's do that. Let's come down. So select all of these. And then it looks like I went over to cell H. So hold, drag over to cell H. Boom. And now it's counting everything. Look, we got a pair. We got a pair of 6s. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, it's not valid. That's not valid. Oh, well. We got any other pairs around here? Got a pair of 10s, maybe. 10 of hearts, 10 of clubs. It's valid. The Y says it's valid. We've got a hit. Awesome. So what's basically left to do? I mean, other than drag the whole thing across about 8,000 columns. What do we got to do now? So this is dealing our cards. I know the first thing I should do. What's the column width here? Let's see. I think I go to home. I think. Maybe right click. No, that never works. I'm home. Go away. I want to format down here. That's where I want it. Format the column width. That's what I want. So that's got a column width of 3.43. Doesn't look like we can make it much narrower. See that 10H? Yeah. So maybe I'll just make it 3.5 just so it's even. I don't know that that matters, but I'll make it 3.5. And then I'll do the same for these. In fact, I'll do the same for a whole bunch of these. I'll make a column width of 3.5. How far are we going to go? We could go forever. I don't want to get stuck in it completely. Let's go to GZ. That sounds pretty fun. Where are you? GZ. Go all the way out to GZ. And now, format, column width. Did I say 3.5? 3.5. Boom. And now I should be able to scroll way the heck back. Good, 3.5. So now I've got narrower columns. That'll at least make it a little easier to do things. I think the other thing I'd like to do is center text, but who cares? It's not critical. Okay, so in a little bit, we're going to basically drag this whole column here all the way across to GZ, which will give us, I don't know, a couple 300 rolls at least, or deals to look at. What we want to do is we want to figure out a probability. So that means that somewhere along the line, we have to count the number of, not deals, but the number of valid deals, which we have to count the number of Ys in this row. That's easy. You just count if it's a Y, right? That'll be the denominator. That's how many valid deals we made. And then only for the valid deals, we'd want to count if we got any pairs. Only for the valid deals, though. So let's see. How should we do this? I think the first thing I'll do is I'll just count if it's got any pairs. So Has it got a pair or more? Well, a pair or more is if any of these numbers is a 2 or more, right? Because this is counting how many 2s, how many 5. I got one of these, one of these, one of these. Oh, I got 2 kings, right? So if that's valid, and it is, this would count as a pair of somethings. If it was a 3, that would still count as a pair or better. And if I had more than 1 2, that would still count as a pair or better. So I think what I'll do here is I'll say, well, how many 2s have we got in this row? So I'm going to say equals COUNTIF equals COUNTIF. If what? Well, first you have to say the range. So click on that range from the aces down to the kings, comma, if what? If, put this in quotes, if it's, I guess, greater than 1, we'll count it. And close the parentheses. We might get 2 pair. So it could be that we have a couple of 2s in there. So we'll see how many pairs we got. We got 1 pair. Be nice if we had a couple of 2s, but whatever. We got 1 pair, and let's drag that across. Boink. We got 1 pair here. We got 1 pair here. Those are not valid, however. Okay, what should I do next? I only want to count the pair if it's valid, right? So what I could do is let's see, what would I want to do here? I'm going to be counting the number of deals up here, and I'll only be counting valid deals. Here I can just count all the pairs, but I don't want to count these because they're not valid, right? So what I want to do then is maybe turn these into zeros somehow because those were not valid. So let's see if I can do that. Turn those into zeros. So I'll do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rep this in a big old if. If, and the criteria is going to be this cell equals a y. I think that's how I do this. If it's a y, then I will count. And if it isn't, then I'll put, I guess I'll put a 0. Let's see if that worked. Oh, I love it when it works. So that says I got 1 pair, and it counted it because it was valid. Now I have to drag this over. Oops, okay. So look, I had a pair here. It didn't count it, I'm guessing because it wasn't valid. See, it wasn't a valid deal. We're not going to count that pair. Here's a pair. Yep, we got a pair, and it counted it because it was valid, right? Yep. So, oh, look at that. 3 of a kind. Unfortunately, 2 of them with a 4 of spades. Okay. That almost counted, except it was an invalid deal. We can't count it if it's not a valid deal. So, okay, we got valid deals checked. So, only in a case of a valid deal are we going to count that there's a pair here. I'm going to delete that, I guess. So it seems to be working now. And so, yeah, we'll figure out the probability in a second. First, we should drag this all the way over. So we've got 4 deals done already. You want to know how to deal a whole bunch more? See, you had to do all that fuss to set it up. But once it's set up, now you can repeat the experiment a zillion times. Here we go. Hold very carefully, and keep a dragging all the way to GZ. We're going to keep a dragging. Keep a dragging. Drag. Where are we? Whoop. There's GZ. Wonderful. Look at all this data. I got a pair, but it doesn't count because it was not valid. Oh, this is beautiful. I got a pair, and it does count because it is valid. Beautiful. This is beautiful. So we've run our experiment a whole bunch of times. Now let's down here, let's put results. Let's bold the results. Let's click on the cell. Let's bold the results. Let's make it yellow and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so the probability, we're going to have a numerator and we're going to have a denominator, right? It's usually how this works. Maybe I'll merge these cells so I don't have to worry about it being in my way. Merge the cells, and maybe I'll right adjust them so it looks kind of neat. Okay, maybe I'll merge these cells too. Okay, so the numerator, and over here is a comment. I'll say number of valid deals with at least 1 pair. Look, that one's got 2 pair. It's got a pair of aces and a pair of 6s. And since it counted it, it must have been valid. It was valid. We got 2 pair right there naturally. This is good. This is our lucky day. So the number of valid deals with at least 1 pair equals, and now we just do a standard count. Just count up. Oh, wait a minute. No, it's a count if, because we have to count if they're Y's or not. Count if. First, you count. You specify the range. How many valid? Wait a minute. What am I counting? Number of valid deals with a pair. That would be here. That would be this row. So count if. Yeah, I just want to count if it's not a 0, basically. 2 pair will still count as getting at least 1 pair, so I don't want to count it twice or anything. Okay, trying to get up to G here somewhere. We made it. Boom. Return. Oh, what do you not like? Oh, I didn't forget. If the condition is what? Equals 1, I got. No. The condition is greater than 0. That's the condition. Okay, close it. So we had 89 deals that had a pair or more. Okay. The denominator is always the total number of things would happen, which is going to be the number of valid deals. Number of valid deals. And the number of valid deals, see it changed because I'm doing things here. Okay, so the number of valid deals, denominator is going to be equals, and it's going to be another one of those count ifs. Count if what? Well, first you say count where. Count up here. How many valid deals have we got? Got to select the whole darn range. The whole range, the range, nothing but the range. Whoa, Nelly. Boink. Okay, well, that's not done yet because I like this. It'll tell you that it's all screwed up. So you just click on it again and say, what did I forget? I forgot to put the condition in there, of course. So the condition is equals a y. Equals a y. Ooh, 81 out of 164. Look at that. And so the probability, we can get that right now. I think so. What's going on here? Your browser reserves something. I didn't even see that. I want capitals, please. Probability is, okay, let's merge those 2 cells together and let's right align that thing. Probability. Let's merge those cells, merge those 2 cells too. Boink. We'll make this the big B, bold. So the probability is, well, all you got to do is you take that and you divide by that. And you make it a percent maybe. So format as a percent. General percentage. 47.59%. That is the present result of our experiment. You want to do that again? By the way, 166, that's not a big enough number of trials really. But I'm just going to put a 4 here and watch this. Boom. Now we got 47.65%. That was close. Let's try this again. 5. Boom. 51.43%. So it's jumping a little bit. Of course it's jumping a little bit. And the reason it's jumping a little bit is A, because of, whoa, 40%. That's horrible. The reason it's jumping around so much is we've really got to make more trials than that. So I'm about to do this. I'm going to ask you to do this, but I'm going to ask you to do this out to 1,000 trials. 1,000 trials is where you start to get trustworthy results. I mean, 40% versus 50-something%. No, that's not. It starts to level out after a while. Ideally, you'd want to do 5 or 10,000 or even 100,000 trials. I'm going to ask you to go out to 1,000. So that's just the last tedious thing to do. It's actually the easiest thing in the world. All you got to do is come out here to our last column somewhere. There it is. And take this whole thing and figure out how far you have to go to get to 1,000. Is that like KK? I don't know what it is. LL? I don't know. So drag it all the way out until you've got 1,000 trials, 1,000 deals of the deck. You want this number to be 1,000 or higher. It doesn't have to be exact, but at least 1,000. And you'll have to update these formulas, of course, because now it's going to go out to, not going to go out to GZ. It's going to go out to something else, and so is this one. But this will be interesting to see what it comes out to. So that was a long lecture, I suppose, but you are watching me figure out almost everything. So if you follow along, you should be able to get to this point without problems because, well, I did it all on tape. So hopefully you will get there. And if you do, your only extension really is to drag it out to at least 1,000 trials and update. See what you get.